want to document for your social
yeah,
media.
And I also want them, you know, to make sure that if someone looking for a good, you know, I love to share information. If someone's looking for a good class, like acting coach or something, yeah, then you know we can all they can.
Excellent.
They can see it.
Yeah, I would. Anybody who's looking for dialect or our coaching, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah. Now we can start, and let me put this away. So I'm gonna read the script, right? Or you're gonna tell me the lines. Because I have Lauren, right, and Natasha.
Yeah. So what we're going to do right now is that we're going to read through the script together, and I'm going to read everything except Natasha, and then you will read Natasha. So I'm going to read all of the stage directions and everything, so we get an idea of what's going on in the script. So the script. Now we know the background, that she's come to your apartment.
Wait, this is the funerals, no? The woman at the funeral, right? The first scene, or maybe I missed the first page. Okay.
So on page 1, at the bottom of the page, you see the arrow.
Yeah.
That's where we start.
Oh, okay.
Now they're casting Natasha, and Lauren is the lead of the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. And Lauren is the daughter of the very wealthy man, and she's come to your apartment to find out who you are, why you are in the will.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay?
All right.
You know who she is because you've probably seen her somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay? So we start at the bottom, and we're just going to read through it just to kind of find out the initial information. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it says interior hallway, moments later.
Yeah.
So she had gone down, she'd come to there's a doorman. Let's go back up. Mm-hmm. See where it says exterior, apartment building, evening, higher up in the page?
Yeah, building.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is going to give us some information about where you live. Lauren stands on the sidewalk staring at the front door of a high-end complex, almost praying that no such woman exists. Time for the truth. Okay, so we live in a high-end apartment complex.
Yeah.
The building lobby, a doorman mans the desk. How can I help you? I'm here to see a Miss Natasha Nemovna. Is she expecting you? She sounds Russian, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Her heart curdles. She does exist. No, so you're not expecting her. Your name, Lauren Monroe. He is an eyebrow, clearly recognizing her. That means she's kind of famous, right? The doorman kind of recognizes her. She might have been in the news because of her father, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So there's some famous thing going on. The doorman picks up the phone and says to you, I have Lauren Monroe here to see you. Yes, ma'am. So the doorman has called you up, saying that Lauren's there. So when you open the door, you know that you expect her, that she's going to be standing outside. Right. But you didn't really expect that she would, you didn't really prepare for this.
But Lauren is a woman or a man?
A woman.
A woman, okay. Because I have.
She's the daughter of the wealthy man that died.
Okay. So she's the daughter. Sorry, I missed it. All right.
Yeah. That's why she found your name in the will. When they read the will, your name was in there. So she's come here to find out who you are.
And the will is actually the paper. When you die, you say what you want to leave to a certain person, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If there's anything that we're talking about that you don't know, just ask and we'll just clarify.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So in the will of this and he's got a lot of money, so it's really important about who gets what, and people are going to talk about that.
All right.
Okay, so Lauren walks forward, chest tight with dread. She reaches 2516, which is your apartment number. A deep breath, and then she raps on the door. So she's knocking on the door. And then we go to the next page. Mm-hmm. It opens, and there in front of her is Natasha, the woman at the funeral. So you were at the funeral.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's why. I thought it was at the funeral, actually. I didn't see okay.
Right. Recognition. So Lauren recognizes you now from the funeral, and she says, Natasha Nemovna, and you say,
please come in, Lauren.
She freezes at the sound of her name. Lauren freezes. God damn it. Morgan was telling the truth.
Mm-hmm. So Natasha's apartment?
Yeah, Natasha's apartment. Now we're into the next scene, part of the scene. Decorated tastefully and expensively. So we got to get an idea about who like what your apartment looks like.
Right.
Lauren takes in the surroundings of her father's secret life. And you say,
I'm sorry for your loss.
Lauren nods, unsure how to respond.
Would you like to drink something?
Sure. Lauren studies her face. We've met before, haven't we? She doesn't answer. Awkward silence as she goes to the minibar. So you're going to the minibar. Each casting glances at each other. Her hand, Natasha's hand, trembles as she pours them both a vodka.
All right. Why are you here?
Lauren pauses and she's searching for an excuse. I found your name in his will. Natasha's hand shakes as she extends the drink to her. They take an uneasy seat on the nearby couch. Maybe you can tell me how you two met. She takes a furtive sip, which means like is kind of just a tiny little sip, like of the vodka. Mm-hmm. And you say,
do you really want to know?
Yes.
At the poker game.
Lauren's heart crashes. And you've been together for how many?
He never stopped loving your mother, if that's what you mean.
How long?
Many years.
I wish I never had to come here, but I'm trying to put the pieces together. Please forgive me, but I have to ask, did my father pay for your company?
As much as a man ever pays for a woman?
The truth makes Lauren nauseous. She pounds down the glass of vodka. That's when her eyes catch sight of a picture of Natasha. And this says a 14-year-old boy. In your case, it would probably be someone, like 7 or 8. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, 7-year-old or 8-year-old boy. And you say, and I say, who is that?
That's my son, Alex. Half brother. You're her half brother. You're going to be my son, all right?
Мама.
Говорила тебе. Нет, киса, нет, дверь закрывай. Любимая, я сейчас на занятии.
Кто был это?
Нет, любимая, нет.
Это норма.
Окей, норма, я понимаю. Закрой дверь. I told her we're gonna have classes, so she's trying to distract me. Закрой дверь, потому что я слышу звуки, там мне неудобно. Kiss. All right. So this is your half brother.
Yeah, and Lauren says, Jesus Christ. She stands up on tilt. The room's closing in on her, crushing her like a vice. So Lauren is really having a hard time. No one can know. It will literally kill my mother.
Lauren, we have our own life. You came to me.
She struggles to contain her emotions. She spies the picture of the boy again. And your son?
He doesn't know yet.
The vodka's rising back up in her throat. Suddenly it's hard to breathe, and she says, I have to go. Natasha watches her rush out, emotions rising up. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yeah.
So this is kind of typical of what you might get in the beginning of a scene. There's like pieces of this person.
Like this, what they want to see, like, this is not really an emotional scene. Yes, of course you're going to be shaking, but you won't show it so emotionally. Usually they, like, what would be the key to get the role if you get something like that?
We're going to talk about that right now, okay? Now, the way you want to work as acting, the way we're going to work is we're going to get inside the person's life, right, of who Natasha really is. And then you live from that place, and the camera picks up what you're thinking, what you're feeling, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of feelings that Natasha's going to have right now.
Of course, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So
we want to talk about, we're going to try to, because it's not given in the script, we don't have that much more information right now. We're going to talk a lot about who she is and what we think happened between her and this, what her life has been like, right? She seems to me like let me ask you a few questions, and what you think, because I can tell you what I think, but I want you to start to think what you think about it, okay? So how long do you think you've been together with him? If it says a 14-year-old son, but if they were going to cast you, they're going to have to make him younger, which they can do that all of the time. So how long have you been with him?
Yeah, let's say, so she says 14 years old. Say many years they've been together, right? So and the son is 14 years old, right? So plus around like maybe another 2 years plus at least, right? Before the other child.
Let's say, because if you were playing this part, we would need to make the son younger,
yeah.
because you're not old enough to have a 14-year-old son.
No, I can't have... I'm 39. I can't have a son like that if I would give birth at the age of 23. Yeah.
I guess you could. Yeah, I guess it's possible, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So if that were the case, and you had a son that old, right? That means you met him in your early 20s.
Right. Yeah. So half of my life I've been with this man.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge. And so we want to ask, like, why did you stay with him?
I believe there was two things. Could be love, real love, or could be that he could give me whatever I wanted to get from a man. And of course, if he had a family and he loved the mom, right? So he was in the family, right? They didn't even know that he has a son. So probably she was depending on him.
Yeah, I think there's that. I think that he gave her a life.
Yeah.
But I would say that I think there's a lot of love there.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, the fact that nobody knew about it, right? So she was respecting the guy, right? So she didn't do anything in order to get involved in the family and in order to manipulate him, you know, like many women does. So I think she was, they had a great relationship, I think, right? And of course, if she's in the wheel, of course they had a great relationship.
Yeah, I think so too. Mm-hmm. I think that they had a great relationship. You don't talk badly about him. You're like, and you're compassionate. It seems like you have a lot of feelings for Lauren. You kind of had this feeling for her, right? Mm-hmm. Like you say to her, he never stopped loving your mother. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've had conversations with him about his wife. You knew about his wife. Yeah. And there are a lot of men out there that have whole other families on the side.
Is there a lot of men like that in America?
Well, there's a lot of, I would say a lot of pro athletes have some of that, like basketball players and stuff like that. They've met a girl somewhere and it comes out sometimes in the news, right? Where they have a whole family on the side. And the person that they're with really wants to be with, like they want that relationship, but they know if it came out that, they would lose the person. They would lose the man because of his fame, And so they have made in their heart and in their life like this, that it's okay. So there's more people like this than you can imagine in America. It's a lot more than you imagine.
You know why I ask you about it? Because in Russia we have plenty. Like this is so many stories, especially if the man is wealthy. They have 2-3 families, and most of the time, not most of the time, but a lot of the time that the wife knows about the mysteries. And so they don't say anything, and it's actually pretty common here.
Yeah, it's common than you can imagine. There was a television show on here in the United States a few years ago called Brothers and Sisters, and the whole show was about they were a wealthy family up in California, in the wine country up there, and the father died, and when he died, the same thing happened. This woman came forth she was like at the funeral, and they found out that he had been having this whole life with her, and she had a daughter who was like 16. Wow. It was the same experience. So there was a television show about this, and the woman who played the part of the mistress she was an actress. That was who she was, right? And she loved this man, and it was it was, she kind of made a deal with herself and the man that I want to be with you, but he would not divorce his wife. Right? So it was important because she really loved him. And then the whole thing came out about, okay, you know, now there's more, there's another kid, there's, you know, all of this stuff, right? So I imagine this movie is going to be a lot, you're going to be more in the movie, there's going to be, your son's going to be a part of it, you know, all of that kind of thing that is going to come out. So to answer your question, yes, it's more than you can, you know, and the thing we want to do is to remember, and the beautiful thing that they did in the television show is that they made the mistress, like, she wasn't the bad person, she wasn't the bad guy, she had this life, you know, that she had a lot of feelings for him and her daughter and all of that. In this case, Natasha, you know, has a whole life with him too, and we want to go into how it was for you. It must have been hard not to be able to be with him at Christmas time, and at, you know.
I think if it's been for so many years, it's probably been hard for the beginning, and then you get used to it. So you kind of adopt, yeah, and then you just take it as a fact. Yeah. But
it's still hurt. It's still difficult, right? And when he died, you went to the funeral.
Right.
Now this has got to be the man you love, right?
Right.
But how you're feeling right now, he just passed away too. Are you grieving?
I think so, yeah. I think it's a big loss for a child as well, to lose a father.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And for her, she stayed for so many years. Yeah.
Even know that they had another family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously knew your father, the father of a son, right? So that would mean that probably during the holidays and stuff, he would come over. You know, he's probably spent a lot of time with you.
Yeah.
Or you would tell your son he's traveling. You know.
Yeah, working. Yeah.
That would probably be part of it. You had to kind of constantly kind of keep your keep your son safe.
Yeah.
Right. So we have a little more of a picture of this woman, what's going on with her, and what from this little scene, we kind of get an idea about, you know, how you feel and all of that, what's going on with you. Now Lauren comes, and you know now she's here because she saw you at the funeral, and you saw each other, and you know that she recognizes you. In the beginning, you say, "I'm sorry for your loss," right? And she hasn't said it yet, but I think in the back of your mind, you're thinking, "Oh shit," you know, this is, you know, I have to really, she's standing right in front of me right now.
Yeah.
Right? I would think that there are times that you probably were out with him, you know, that not as a, like maybe he would say that you were a work acquaintance or somebody like that. You would like go to certain events and stuff with him, but no one knew who you were. I think so. But she recognized you from the funeral.
Yeah.
Okay? So, in the beginning...
If she was playing poker, she had money, I guess, no?
Well, either that, or in the beginning, we have to ask, like, how, you know, like sometimes girls are at poker games because they're on the arm of somebody else, or, you know what I mean? It could be that, right? You could have been, you know, sometimes poker games, you're a young girl, say you're in your early 20s, you know, you were there to, sometimes, you know, high stakes poker games, girls are in there just to be, either to be with men or to
catch someone?
To what?
To catch someone?
To catch one, but you could be working the poker game, like, you know, you could be the person that, you know, it's up to you to decide, because we don't know the information. So Either that or, were you a call girl? Were you a prostitute at that time? Was that what happened? Is that how you met him? Or was it that you were working it, like you were, like they needed girls to serve drinks, they needed girls to, even be at the card person, or were you just, sometimes they would just have several girls there, beautiful girls, just to be company for the men while they were, So what do you think? What would you like to choose?
I think that if we take back so many years, 20 years old, 20-something, right, playing poker or at the poker game, probably looking for a man and probably looking for a better life, and that's why she actually stuck with the man. I think that could really be the reason.
Now, let's get a little more detailed. Were you serving drinks? Were you just there as someone hired a bunch of girls to come to the game, or what?
Maybe something like that. Yeah. She knew what she was doing there. And she wasn't there just to serve drinks. I think she was there like hunting.
Yeah, but what was your job there? What were you hired to do?
Maybe just to be around.
Right. Let me do it now. I'm going to ask you all the questions because you want to fill this in. And the reason that we want to get detail, because when you say at a poker game, all of those memories, the truth of what it was, has to be there for you, right? Yeah. So the specific we get about what the poker game means.
Maybe she would be a little bit shy, or feel a bit shy about that moment. Do you really want to know?
Yeah, at a poker game. This is where we met. I was a young girl. I needed money. I was looking for a better life. Came from a very poor family. And I'm in New York because this is in New York City.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I had a friend who said, I'm gonna, go to this party. They will pay you this kind of money, right? Yeah. And at that party, some of the girls went home with some of the guys, right?
Yeah. Right.
So, here's my question now, did you go home with them that night?
I guess so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that started your relationship with him?
Yeah.
So he wasn't that old at that. I mean, he was maybe he was 20 years older than you, so he was in his 40s at the time, right? And now in his 60s he has a heart attack or something like that, right? He may have been 45, right? Was he good looking?
Handsome?
Yeah. Handsome and wealthy, and that started your relationship, right?
Right.
And then you were with him for how long before you had your son?
Maybe 2-3 years. What do you think?
Yeah, even a year, and then you get pregnant.
Yeah.
Right. Now we have and you have the child, and he's going to be the father of the child. He says, I want to be the father of this child.
Yeah. So it means.
But my wife can never know.
Right, and it means that it's not like he was using her as a one-night stand. Otherwise, he wouldn't make her pregnant, and then otherwise he wouldn't keep the child. So he was actually. Kind of like respecting her in a way, probably in love with her.
He had 2 families.
Yeah. Somehow I'm losing you, the sound. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Sometimes it goes.
What we can do is, do you want to call back? Let me save this.
Now it's better, much better.
Oh, that was better. Okay. It's just the connection sometimes we get on Skype. Yeah. But that's good. We're good now. Yeah, that sounds a lot better. Okay. So, do you see how we're starting to create this picture for her now? And now when you say the words, they feel better, don't they?
Yeah, so every single line has actually some information behind it. Yeah, that's really cool.
Right. Now, in the beginning, when we're saying these words, it feels a little bit like you're trying to take care of her. Like when you first led the lines, you were trying to be really nice to her. But I want you to let yourself have the feelings that Natasha would have. Like, this is like, you have lived this life for 20 years, or so, and now it's out, and you're going to have to deal with the fact that your son's going to find out, isn't he? But you don't want him to know. Right. You don't want anybody to know, right?
Yeah.
So this is going to be really tricky for you.
Yeah. I think I see her as a good person.
I do too. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And here's the thing we always want to do, and it's really important, Victoria, that whoever you play, you want to not judge them at all.
Yeah.
Any character you play, they are just trying to figure out life based on their own perspective. Even if they're doing horrible things, they're doing it because they have lost they have problems in themselves, right? No matter who they are. So you'll play all kinds of characters, and what we want to do is to make them the most human that we can.
Yeah.
To bring the human perspective out, so that when someone sees you, they're going to understand this character, right? And it's not going to, they let the audience judge the character.
Right.
They will judge the character based on, because I remember when I saw Brothers and Sisters, that's that series, right? And it's set up that the mother was Sally Field. That's who played the mother. And she was like, the good woman, and you really wanted all the best. And when this other woman came up, you're like, oh my God, she's the evil person. But as the series started to unfold, you realize she's not evil. She's actually a good person. Just she's in this bad situation,
Yeah.
So we can see how this happened for you. Like you have a son, and he says, "I will be the father of the son," but no one can know that we are. That my family can never know.
Yeah. How do I feel about it?
Yeah. Well,
I think first of all that he didn't ask me to get rid of the child already means a lot. So I would, let's say if I have a very at the beginning very poor background, plus no money to live and looking for better life, I think I would appreciate everything that he actually could give me, and also that fact that he decided to keep the relationship between us,
Yeah.
So I think I would feel thankful. I would feel probably myself, if that would be me, I would. Yeah.
You make that choice, and so it's not like you're his mistress, but he treats you with respect. He loves his son. He has, and in fact, it says in the script here, Lauren takes in the surroundings of her father's secret life, right? Right there in the beginning when you come into the apartment, decorated tastefully and expensively. Yeah. Lauren takes in the surroundings of her father's secret life.
Yeah.
Right? So he's lived here, he's been with you, this is his secret life apart from his other life.
Yeah.
So, and you've decorated the apartment tastefully, you've been able to go out and live very well, right? The only thing you don't have in your life is that people know that you were his. Right? You had
the
secret
status, right? The status of the wife, and in the society, right?
And you kind of made a deal with yourself that was okay, right?
Yeah.
You seem very educated, right?
Yeah. Well behaved, yeah.
I think you probably, you had a good education, but you probably also living in an expensive place in Manhattan, in New York City. You have really good taste. You have good clothes. You live the lifestyle of someone who is got that.
Yeah.
Who you are. So that's another part of you. Are you proud? Are you a proud woman?
Yeah, because I think I achieved a lot. So
yeah,
I am proud. Yeah.
Right. I think that's true, and I want to bring that to this character, right? That you had a relationship with him, and it's just important to you as a relationship he had with his wife.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this is kind of a question, an easy question to answer, but I want to ask it. How are you a good mother?
Yeah. Good mother. She doesn't want to know. She doesn't want her son to know anything, so she's protecting him. She's taking care of him. Yeah.
Is he in a good school? Probably, right? He's been put in a really good school. All of that. So that's the other thing, that by playing along with this whole thing with him, with the father, is that your son has been able to have everything he needs.
And I think she was already waiting for them to come, her to be there, someone to be there. So she probably expected that someone could come, because first of all, she was she said yes, let him in. Second of all, she said, come in, do you want to drink anything? I think she was kind of like prepared for that meeting.
Because you saw her at the funeral, and I have a feeling that you guys both somehow, there was probably in the scene when you saw each other at the funeral that you looked at each other, and there was some kind of thing that you were,
And I knew that it's her, but she didn't know it was me, right? So,
right. Now you discover something in this scene, okay? You discover that you're in the will. Right? She says, I found your name in his will.
I don't know if I knew about it, though.
Right. Now, Lauren is lying.
Oh, yeah?
Right? It says lying, I found your name in the will.
Oh, wait, I found your name in the will. Lying, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so your name isn't in the will, but Lauren wants to figure out who you are. Right? So she lies and says, I found your name in the will. So maybe you're not in the will. But you, at that moment, you think that maybe you are, because she said she found your name in the will.
Wow.
Which is why,
her hands are shaking?
Go ahead.
No, that's why, is it like her hands are shaking?
Yeah, it could be. This is wow. And it also means that Lauren kind of figured out who you are. Right? So in the beginning, it's like you think you don't know that she knows who you are, right? She saw you at the funeral, and you say, and you're just kind of saying, would you like something to drink? You're being like having her in, but there's a part of you inside going, oh my God, why is she here? Does she know?
I would assume that she knows if she's here.
Well, you don't know, right? Because you say, why are you here?
Yeah.
So the other thing I find about this character is that it's kind of interesting. Like in the beginning, you say, I'm sorry for your loss, come in, right? And would you like something to drink? Because you're trying to, it's crazy for you right now. You want to drink as much as you want to give her a drink, don't you?
Right. So you can be more relaxed, right?
Yeah. And Laura, she says, we've met before, haven't we? Right? So perhaps when she says that, think about this, Victoria. You were probably at some event that her father, your
lover,
with him, your lover was at, and she saw you at. She had met you before. Maybe he introduced you as his assistant, or something like that. So it's crazy for you in the beginning here. Your heart is racing and pounding, and it's like, what's going to happen now? Because remember, you've kept your son's secret. You don't want your son to get hurt.
Yeah.
So this is kind of crazy. But here's the other thing that I discovered about this character. You are pretty, you get to the point, why are you here? You are really, I'm going to get direct with you.
Yeah.
To who you are. You don't say, she said, we've met before, haven't we? Then you've got to take that in. Where was it that you met? How much do you want to, now where do you want to go here with this? When she says, we've met before, haven't we? Awkward silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you go to the mini bar. All right? You're making a choice now to say, why are you here? Yeah. Put your cards on the table. Let's get this out.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
right? That's a direct woman who has some confidence too. Right?
Yeah.
So you've got a mixture of confidence, directness. You want to protect your son, and yet you're feeling compassionate for Lauren because she's lost her father.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff here, right? Yeah. Stuff that you didn't figure when you first looked at it.
Right. To me, it looked like it was kind of a chilled mood, but inside there is a lot of fire. Yeah.
Right. So now that we've talked about this, you can kind of understand and be her, right? Yeah. From all of these feelings, it's like, here I am, this woman is standing in front of me, who's his daughter, who I have met before, and we're both grieving. My lover, her father, and I don't know what she knows. I want to protect my son. I've got to be careful here, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to actually get this out once and for all. Oh, we got a little frozen. There we go. Yeah. So let's try it again.
Yeah.
And
I would like to read the lines in between, which is explaining what's going on, or just the lines?
Just the lines.
All right.
I'll be Lauren and you'll be Natasha, because now we know. Now, when it says all of that stuff, she doesn't answer. Give yourself time there where you have that's you're going to process what's happening. Okay?
What about me? Like, do I have to kind of like do anything, or just
right now it won't. When you audition, you won't be able to get the drinks. You won't be able to do anything like that. So when you audition, it's kind of pretty, like, we're going to figure that how that works too. Probably you'll be doing a lot of auditioning. When you're doing your auditioning, you'll probably be doing video auditioning and sending it in to people.
Yeah.
So we'll do some of that. We'll work on that, what that is like.
I think that's the easiest one, because you can work on yourself and you can record like as much as you want.
Well, nowadays a lot of people are the agents, the casting directors are asking you to submit videotape. I was working with a woman in where was she? I want to say Taiwan, but she was a big pop star there, and she was coming. She was working on some. We did a lot of coaching for her to get in some movies here, and she would submit her auditions, like she would videotape herself and submit the audition, because she was living not in the United States at the time. Then if they want you, they'll,
fly you down.
That's right. That's what they'll do. Okay. All right. So let's do it again. Now, all these things are happening for Natasha. All of these, the very first thing we want to do in every scene is to figure out who you are, to give yourself real life and what's going on with you. What are your problems? Like, we got a lot of problems in this scene, don't we, for you? Beginning, you don't know how much she knows, but you know who she is. You want to get this out because you've got to, right? And then you also have to protect your son. It's a lot of things going on. Okay, so she comes in, and you say...
First, Lauren, she comes and says, Natasha,
yeah, okay, I gotcha. Natasha Minova?
Please, come in, Lauren. I'm very sorry for your loss. Do you want to drink something?
Sure. We've met before, haven't we?
Why are you here?
I found your name in his will. Maybe you can tell me how you two met?
Do you really want to know? So she already admit, right? So she knows.
Well, this is a big piece right here. Because I'm going to tell you what happened. Do you really want to know? Right? You know, right? Remember, this is, you know, right? And this is the big moment right now.
Do you really want to know?
Yes.
At the poker game.
Good. Now, at a poker game, remember we talked about a poker game? Let all of those memories come back for you when you say that.
It was at the poker game.
I'm sorry, it kind of froze. Could you do that again for me?
Yeah.
That was good, though, but I wanted just to hear.
At the poker game.
Good. So I want you to sit back in your body a little bit, right? You don't have to sit back in the chair, but I don't want you to lean forward. And what's all of the stuff that's going on with Natasha right now?
I'm actually sweating now. I was so cold, and now I feel like I'm sweating. Literally, like my hands are wet. I'm a bit nervous, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, sure, of course. That's the way you would feel because this is the first time, right?
Yeah.
That we've been doing this, and that's okay. You know, I'm here to help you really find all of this stuff. You are where you are, and we're going to do all kinds of things to help you get there. This is our first session, right? I'm going to do some exercises with you to get you into your emotional life, into your body, so that you'll start feeling all of these feelings that you can bring into the scene. So right now I'm just kind of watching to see what's going on with you, and you're doing well. So right now, think about this. This is like at a poker game. Poker game.
Poker game.
Yeah.
At the poker game.
Ooh, that was good.
Yeah.
See, back when you watch this, you're going to see what just happened there.
Yeah.
All of the inner life was there. You don't have to do more than that. The camera picks it up, and then the audience goes, ooh, poker game. Wonder what happened, right?
Yeah.
And so Lauren goes, oh my God, she was this girl that he met at a poker game, right? Yeah. Everything that, it wasn't like you didn't meet at work. You didn't meet, you know what I mean? Yeah. You're not a work, you're somebody that, a girl at a poker game, this is your relationship. So she figures that out. And you've been together for...
You never stop loving your mom, if that's what you want to know.
How long?
Many years. Many years.
Good. Now, for you, it's like, this is not about telling her information, right? Many years means something to you. Yeah. I'm not just a one-night stand for this guy.
Yeah.
Right?
This is me. Like, I feel that,
like, never stop
special.
Loving your mother. But he's been with me many years.
Yeah.
We have a life.
Many years.
How long?
Many years.
I wish I never had to come here, but I'm trying to put the pieces together. Please forgive me, but I have to ask. Did my father pay for your company?
This is no comfortable question for her, right? But
I wouldn't think so. She's asking you, are you a call girl? Are you a prostitute? But you know what? It's like, you think about this. Like, how, like, the wife, even though she's the wife, she's probably, made a lot of concessions, made a lot of things. He pays for her, for any woman. The wealthy men, as much as a man ever pays for a woman, right? Men get what they get women in their life often. Most men, like, they get a job, they take care of their family. They're paying for the company of their wife, of the girlfriends, of everybody, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of standing up for yourself there, aren't you?
Yeah. That's what I feel now. Yeah.
That's what I think. Yeah. So I'm going to say, I wish I had never had to come here. but I'm trying to put the pieces together. Please forgive me, but I have to ask. Did my father pay for your company?
As much as a man ever pays for a woman.
Who is that?
My son, Alex, your half brother.
Who? You just gave me some big information there, didn't you? Right? My son. Right? Now, instead of telling me the information like, this is my son, Alex, it's my son, Alex, who I love and I care for, right? And now I'm going to tell you who he really is. He's your half-brother. I think at this point, you are saying, I'm not just some girlfriend he had. You have a half-brother. He loved me. He loved his son. Does this make sense to you?
Yes, yes. Of
Yeah.
course.
So this is a big piece of this, isn't this?
Gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, I hope so. Because I love this character. I love her. I think that she's interesting and she's smart and she's standing up, you know, like, and she's had to deal with this her whole life, but she's gonna fight for her son, and she's probably gonna fight for herself a little bit now.
Yeah.
At least the respect. Don't you deserve respect?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
my son, Alex, your half brother.
Christ. No one can know. It will literally kill my mother. No one can know. It will literally kill my mother.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. Lauren, we have our own life. You came to me.
And your son.
He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know you exist. He doesn't know anything.
Good. Excellent. Good. I want you to protect your son right there. Right? Instead of telling me that information, what you need right there is to protect your son.
He doesn't know you exist.
Protect him more.
He doesn't know you exist. He doesn't know you exist.
Good. Because you say, we have our own life. You came to me. And he doesn't know you exist. So do not hurt him.
Yep, wait. Yeah, Lauren, we have our own life. You came to me. He doesn't know you exist.
I have to go. And then she rushes out. Right? Wow. About all of the feelings just come up. You know, you just had a moment with her where you had to kind of stand up for your son a little bit, right? Where all of a sudden everything that you've been keeping secret, now you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah. Maybe she would feel relief as well, no?
Could be. But I think in the end, it's like when she rushes out, it's like all of the feelings that you've been holding in, the grief, the, you know, that like, you know, don't treat me like I'm a one-night stand. I had a life with him. I loved him. Yeah. He has a son. And his son is going, do you think his son should get some money, should be in the will? Should he get some money?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Right?
Yeah.
Because right now, think about this. She said you're in the will, but what if you're not? Right? She's lying. And all of a sudden, he's dead. Who's going to pay for your apartment? Who's going to take care of your son? You think you were thinking those thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah. So she's very mature and, yeah. She's a bit older, I think, than I imagine her.
Yeah. I think it's script they've given her is a little bit older, but she could be this age. In Brothers and Sisters, when they did this almost same exact idea, the woman was like in her early 40s. She wasn't that old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But she had some of the same things. I mean, you've been Yeah, right. So isn't this, what did you learn today about this, about what we've just done?
What I've learned is that, first of all, it's so interesting because, you know, when you first read the lines, one thing, and then when you speak about it, another thing, and then when you actually going through it, I think every single line could bring you information. I didn't think about it before. Even like when she said, "Do you want to drink something?"
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like, to me, I would just pass it. I would say like, yeah, there is no information in it, but like the way you explain to me, and when you go down and like every single line can have that you know, information. Yeah.
Yes. Well, the truth in life is that's the way life really works.
Yeah.
So every time that you talk to someone, you have a conversation with someone, especially a big conversation like this, there's all of this history. There's all of these things behind it as you're speaking to someone. And so as actors, that's our job, to create this real life human being out of nothing, right?
Yeah.
With life, with history, with what she wants in right now. So today, what we really concentrated on a lot was who this character is, and that's where we have to start. We also want to talk about, why is the scene in the movie? What's important about this scene? What's happening in this scene? And what's happening in this scene? Like sometimes what's happening in a scene, excuse me, might be the first time they fall in love, the first time they make love, the first time they have they're having a big fight, they find out some information about something, or you know, those kinds of things. It's an anniversary party and that kind of thing. But in this scene, it's like, this scene is about two women finding out the truth about, the truth is coming out about who you are. Like the truth of his other life is being revealed. And now this scene is about, we get to meet you.
Yeah, and also that's the first time when she speaks out about it, about her son.
Yeah, the first time that we get to see who you really are. Mm-hmm. We saw you at the funeral, the audience, right? But now this scene is written so that now we can find out some information about who you are. Mm-hmm. Who is this woman? Yeah. Not just information but how does she carry herself? What does she need? What is her dreams? Who is this person? Mm-hmm. And the more that you bring that to the character, the more we will see that, and I will want to cast you. Mm-hmm. Right? Because now I see a real life human being that has personality, that's interesting, that like, woo.
Yeah.
Right? So I was talking to my acting class on Thursday, and I was saying that we all have personalities. Like you have a personality, I have a personality. And when we take on a character, we have to lay our own personality aside a little bit and then pick up the personality of the character. Now, some of your personality will show up in the character because some of that might be like her, right? But some of it may not be like her, right? Your personality is kind of the way you express yourself. What will you bring to the scene? That's personal. You're going to bring your own emotional life, who you are emotionally, right? And so we want you to be able to be emotionally connected to anger, to fear, to frustration, to love, to compassion, to sadness, to everything that you can imagine. We're going to wake up in your body, right? That when the scene comes, it'll just show up.
Yeah.
So we're going to do some work with that as we work together. It's really exciting work. And then we look at who the characters. That's what we did today. The other thing we want to look at is, what is your problem in the scene?
Yeah. You have to question yourself. What is your problem in the scene? You have to do that.
Yeah, that's the question. What's my problem right now?
Yeah, and I think the problem is, first of all, that she lost a lot of support, and she lost probably beloved man, plus a father of her son.
Yeah.
And the big part is that now she will have to fight for herself. I don't think they're gonna accept her and like say, "Oh, we're so happy to have another brother," you know, from another mother.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
probably it's gonna be a lot of now it's gonna be a lot of problems with the family, and she will have to fight for her rights.
Yeah, you're so right. That was such perfect. What you suggested there was so perfect. Now you can see all of the problems underneath of this when Lauren shows up, why you need a drink, why your hands are shaking, you know, because there's a lot of stuff that you've got to figure out now, right? And you're kind of going, here it starts. After she says you're in the will, okay, but you don't know who's in the will, how much, whatever, right? She's lying, but you don't know that. You have to take that at face value. There's a little piece of information that you got there. So that is great. That's the problem. Absolutely. Then we say, okay, if this is my problem, what do I want right now?
Yeah, I want to make sure I get
what do you need?
I need to, of course, protect myself, protect my son, and I need to make sure that I will be able to support my lifestyle, probably, right?
Okay, good. Good. So I love what you said. I need to protect myself and my son.
Yeah.
I love that. I like to take the need for the scene. You usually have like one need or one desire for the scene. We call that an objective. If you want to do one per scene for television and film, because they're pretty short scenes. And if you have too many things that you need, you got to hold on to that one thing, right? Your need will drive you through the scene. It'll give you forward motion. Actors who don't have needs or desires or an objective, the scene doesn't go anywhere. Have you ever watched a movie you're kind of going like, where's the scene going? It's like kind of boring,
or
you know?
A lot like that in Russia.
Yeah. And so when we have this thing that we need in the scene, it keeps us moving forward. I like to say it's kind of like, do you watch basketball? Do you ever watch basketball? It's such an American sport.
I watch soccer, yeah. We don't have basketball, yeah.
Okay, watch soccer. Okay.
Yeah.
So soccer, that the need is to, first of all, win the game, right?
Yeah.
But each point,
and
I need to try to make the point, right? But I have to, that's what keeps it moving forward, is that desire. And the more the desire the player has, the more exciting it gets, right? The player who is guarding them, they want to have to stop them as much as the person wants to make the point. That interaction becomes really interesting and really exciting to watch.
All right.
So you have a need in this scene to protect myself and my son. And that means getting respect. It means, you're right, being truthful, because you're being truthful right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
It also means I'm going to stand up for myself, but I have compassion for this woman, right? She just lost her father.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make her my enemy.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? But I also going to stand up for my...
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Yeah. That's a good point. That she doesn't want to spoil her relationship, and she doesn't want to have an enemy. Yeah. So she's trying to be cool. She's trying to be confident, of course, and
was coming up at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So we say your need is to protect yourself and your son, to stand up for yourself and your son. You could say to protect or to stand up for yourself and your son, right? And then there are a lot of things that we call obstacles getting in the way of that. Your emotional life, you don't want to make her an enemy. This is there's a lot of things that are going to happen once you become truthful here, right? You don't know how Lauren is going to react. In fact, she doesn't. She runs out. What does that mean? What is she going to do now?
Yeah.